Welcome to Tech Abilities, produced live in the Blind Abilities studio. I want to thank all of you for listening and for sending in your feedback. It's well appreciated. And if you want to send us some feedback, give us a call at 612-367-6093. Leave a message. We'd love to hear from you. Or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the tech tidbits and news that we cover in this episode. So without further ado, let's get this show started.
I am not going to be independent anymore in a situation like that. And it really depressed me.
You've lost your sight 2 years ago, and you're going to mobility training. You're picking up more and more, and you want to expand your wings a little bit as you're going, and you're realizing you're in a good spot because you're busting loose a little bit, like you're opening up the possibilities.
Take the time to grieve that. Like, your feelings are totally normal. And I don't want you to feel like we're like, oh, just move on, get over it, like whatever. No, like go through that grieving process. It's totally normal. Like, it's not abnormal that you're grieving the loss of your independence. There's no union dues or anything. I really don't understand it, honestly. If there was like some sort of strike or something, it'd be every single employee. So.
Okay. Who knows why? There's got to be some reason.
We should unionize Tech Abilities.
Oh, goodness. You do realize that if we unionize, that'd be against, like, you would be the one that would have to honor our demands.
And remember what happened to Hoffa.
Live from the Blind Ability Studios, this is a Tech Ability Show. I'm Jeff Thompson from friendly Minnesota. And with me in the studio today from Colorado Springs, Colorado, we have Serina Gilbert. Serina. Wow.
Ironically, my mom named me Serina because it means serene.
Oh, really? Welcome to the show, Serina.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I love how you just jumped in there when you didn't quite like the conversation, the direction it was going.
I know. He just started the show.
You guys were trying to unionize.
That was not our suggestion.
And Callie down there in Miami, how's it going? And welcome to the show.
Welcome, Jeff. Thank you very much for having me here. Hey, Serina, how are you out there in Colorado?
I'm good. It's warm enough here to have the air conditioner on today. So.
You're doing a Miami thing out there.
Yeah, it was 75 in the house.
Wow, man. Sauna.
And I don't usually get hot that easily. So if I was hot, it was hot in the house.
Well, I'm glad spring has finally sprung in Colorado Springs.
Oh,
that's a lot of spring.
and a sprung. Yeah. Well, Peacock, the name that still exists, Serina, you said they would never use that name, but they did.
It just makes me giggle almost every time.
I know. 40% growth over the last quarter. 4 million people were added. Who knew it?
You know why that is, right?
Why?
So I think people added to watch the Olympics and then just never canceled because we had 2 sets of Olympics this year and last because of the way COVID delayed everything. So I bet people, I know my boss was the same way. She added, she upgraded it to Peacock and then was like, oh, well, it's not, I'll just keep it, I don't ever watch anything on it though.
But you also have to remember was the uptick was in paid subscribers. That's the big difference.
You had to pay to watch the Olympics on Peacock. It wasn't part of the free tier.
I had it for free.
Maybe some people don't know the Olympics are over yet.
But you have Comcast, right?
I have Xfinity.
So they let you have Peacock Premium for free when you're an Xfinity subscriber. Mm-hmm. But if you weren't an Xfinity subscriber, the free tier of Peacock did not include any Olympic coverage.
Oh, it did not. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, once in a while I go into my ID on my iPhone and I go down to subscriptions and I go through there and just double check. And I know Paramount is still on there, so I might have to get rid of that one. But it's a good thing to do is check that once in a while because all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, $10 there it went.
Paramount does have a lot of audio described content right now. They've described some shows that have really never been described, like The Real World, Homecoming, The Challenge, like things that we've never had access to audio descriptions before.
The original Real World they have from like season 1?
No, the reunions that they've been doing. So they did the New York. What was after New York? I don't remember. But now New Orleans is up now. I think it was LA. So New York, LA, and then New Orleans.
Okay. Well, I like Peacock. I have it for free. I have the premium. One of the things I really like about it, on the Flex box, it is 100% accessible. It is like crazy accessible on the Flex box. And the NBC shows pass along the audio description. So I can watch Law and Order, which has been rebooted with audio description. And This Is Us is there also with audio description, which does not get passed along on Hulu. But the one caveat with This Is Us, and I think it's because of a contract, This Is Us shows up Wednesday on Hulu. It doesn't show up until the following Wednesday on Peacock with the audio description.
That is so odd. It's their own property.
Yeah, I'm going to presume it is a contractual obligation with Hulu, that Hulu gets it the next day and then Peacock gets it a week after. But the good thing about it is that the audio description is there, because I checked before we jumped on this call here because I wanted to make sure. And I went to Hulu, and Tuesday's episode, which was episode 14, is on Hulu, but there is no audio description. On Peacock, episode 13 is there with audio description. So that's the one caveat that I can find there.
What would really be nice if Amazon Alexa would get audio description, so when that package is left on your front steps, But now they say they can decipher whether there's a package on your front steps or a person. But I don't know. Is that really new? I guess what they're really doing is making an API so other camera manufacturers can use this, or I'm sure license this, so they can then send it to your Echo Show or your Amazon Alexa. So it's not really, they're not building the product. They're building something that goes into third-party products and their own.
Well, I think it's a really great thing. I know that there's I forget what it's called, but I guess that at some point, everyone will be on the same kind of API type thing, so that whether you buy a Nest Cam or a Google Cam, I think it's Matter, exactly. You'll be able to use that stuff with HomeKit, Alexa, and Google just seamlessly. Because that's the frustrating thing is we have tons of Nest stuff in our house, but we're not super happy with it, especially after Google bought it. Like the quality of it and the reliability of it just went way down. We're like, what do we switch to? And it's kind of, how it is, Jeff, like trying to switch all those smart things and smart devices, especially a doorbell. It's not the simplest thing to go about doing. And I would love it if we could have the Nest stuff work on like HomeKit and things like that. So we don't have to rely upon, because the Nest protocol it takes up a lot of bandwidth for some reason. I don't know why, but it just does. No, a neat little trick if you're going to get a new router is keep the same, they call it a solid set identifier, your name and password. And that tricks every device, and they're thinking they're connecting up to the same piece of hardware. It doesn't know the difference. It's just like, hey, here's the house and we got the key. Boom. So they're in. So it's all good. So it's really quick. I mean, it doesn't work on every situation, but especially if you switch to a mesh. And I think that's what you got, Serina. Because switching every little plug, every little smart device, every little trinket thing that has to hook up to oh man, I'm getting hot right now. And it's not even 75 degrees here in Minnesota, Serina. When we got our Orbi, it does it through the app. Everything just kind of automatically connected. So
may I ask what an Orbi is? I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Orbis come out at night. They're small little creatures that...
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead.
Oh God. You can't feed them after midnight, right?
Bright light.
The Orbi, it's a router system, but then it has satellite things with it. So
mesh.
It's a mesh router system. Thank you. So we have the actual router sitting like on my desk in the office. And then we have a satellite of it in the basement and a satellite of it upstairs. So essentially those other two satellites are almost like connecting a whole separate Wi-Fi network in a way, so that it stays strong throughout the whole house.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Now I know what a mesh system is. And Orbi is just the brand name of a particular mesh system.
Yeah, I think it's by Netgear, isn't it? Netgear Orbi, I think.
Are you happy with it?
They're pretty pricey. Yeah. I mean, the only thing that we cannot figure out to save our lives is how to switch things off of the 5 gigahertz one to the 2.4. Even when you Google it, it seems like it's just a pain because the stuff just automatically kind of picks the network that it should be on. And that's part of the problem with all the Nest things, because they're all on, they're just clogging up one of the networks,
I have a Netgear and I go into it through my internet browser.
That might be something I'll have Charles look into so we can switch it from there.
If you go into there, you can turn it so you don't have everything of mine goes through the 2.4. I have everything go through the same thing, so it doesn't matter. And it just seems to work.
And we need the two different ones because the Nest stuff, if they're all on one, it'll be like your Wi-Fi is jamming.
I think there might be a switch that it doesn't go through that auto, like which is best. Like it doesn't let them decide anymore. So, yeah.
Put all the Nest stuff on the crappy one. It's so annoying.
Well, I have a dumb house, so I don't have any of these devices. The smartest thing in my house right now are my Alexa devices and my HomePod Mini.
Wow, smartest and Siri mentioned in the same sentence. What is your smart device of choice? I find that if I want a good answer, I'll use the Amazon device. But if I want more of a factual answer, like statistics or something, it seems like Google has that number. And my HomePod minis, I have them find my phone. I search for things and music.
I agree. For music, it's the HomePods all the way. My A guy now, because I have Ziggy. He struggles. Like, I feel like he's dropped on his head in the last 2 months or something. When we actually want an actual answer, it's the Google.
Mm-hmm.
I also use the Google it's funny. So to turn on and off our lights, we use the Alexa because it's got an Alexa smart plug on those lights. But to turn on like the Roomba and stuff, I do it from I can do it from my phone now because it connects. You can do a Siri shortcut now or the Google.
Yeah, I think Amazon has a better thing on, like if I'm looking up sports or if I'm looking up music in a sense, depending on the questions. But generally, I'm going for the factoids off of Google.
Well, in my house, I only have 2 systems. I have the Amazon Echo devices and I have one HomePod mini. And about 80% of the time I am listening to my Amazon devices because most of the time I'm listening to Sirius XM and HomePod mini will not play Sirius XM. I could do a handoff from my iPhone to the HomePod mini if I'm listening to Sirius XM on my iPhone, but I just can't ask it to play Sirius XM channel 32.
You can if you create a shortcut.
I'm not going to get that deep into it. I'm going to tell you right now.
It's probably already built for you because when you do the same thing over and over again and you go into shortcuts, it like builds them for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe I'll take a look down there, but if I can just speak it and it happens, great. That's what I prefer. That's why I have the smart devices anyway. I don't want to have to go into my phone to do something to make it do something for me. So if I can speak it and it happens, that's the way I think it should work.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's mostly the Amazon Echoes. The HomePod Mini is in the kitchen and I use it for timers or if I want to listen to a local radio station, something like that. Or if I know what I want to listen to and I can have the HomePod play that particular artist or song or something like that.
You mean your Christmas music?
Yeah, as I discovered with this replay feature, which I never knew was there. And I went down, I checked what I listened to in 2021. It was the Christmas music. I'm like, oh my goodness, did I not use my HomePod Mini at all in 2021? Because it was just Christmas music. There was one song in there that was not Christmas music. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm spending most of my time with my Amazon devices.
Serina, in the music app, you use the replay playlist, right?
Oh, I use it every year. I think that it came out, I want to say 2016-ish, because Spotify always had at the end of the year where you could see what your top songs were and things like that. So really, they were just kind of copying them. But it starts building that list immediately. And you don't have to wait till the end of the year or anything like that. Like I already have a 2022 one and things like that too.
I didn't even have a 2022 yet.
So you must not have listened to it.
I guess I haven't. That makes me wonder, why do I have this Apple Music subscription for $11.06 a month?
That is a very specific amount, Callie.
That's what it is, $11.06 with taxes.
Well, it's kind of interesting. When I ask my Apple device or my Sonos to play music, it'll say, now playing Jeff's music, which is interesting. When I do go to the music app and the first tab at the bottom on the left-hand side is listen now, if I swipe down far enough, it'll go, 22, replay music from 22, replay music from 21, 20, 19, 18, 15, down to 15.
Yeah, if you wanted to play your replay one, you actually tell it, play my replay 2021 list or 2022 or whatever year you want. What's probably happening, and I do it all the time, is you can tell it to play songs you like. So it'll just kind of make your own radio station based on things that you've liked in the past or that you have in your library, that sort of thing.
Something that came across my desk again this week, that's 2 weeks in a row, folks, is being able to fix your own Apple device. Yeah, they're going to start shipping out tools later on. They'll give you instructions and you get the same parts that Apple is using at the Genius bars. I mean, really, don't we have enough complications in life than to have to, honey, back away. I'm opening up the phone. I mean, really? Do you want to do that?
No. And I don't even know any sighted person who wants to take this on, Jeff. I'm just not sure. It's something I would not do as a blind person. 100% I would not do. I'm not saying not any blind person could do it, but not this blind person. And when you look at the cost, it's sometimes cheaper to take it to the Genius Bar and have them replace the battery or do something like that instead of buying the tools or renting the tools as they do in some cases and then ordering the parts. So to me, it's just simpler to take it to the Genius Bar.
So what part are you wanting to do in your phone? Is it just the battery?
Well, they're selling kits for the battery, for the camera, for the speakers. There are various kits that are available for whatever's wrong with your phone. There are some things it looks like where you will have to take it to Apple, but to have them repair. And plus I have like Apple Care. I still have Apple Care on my iPhone 12 Pro. I'm like, whoa, I could have bought a new iPhone with all the Apple Care payments I've made over the past few months.
I'm going to put in a new home button.
But it does harken back because Serina, you're not old enough to remember this. But when I was a kid, we lived below, there were like businesses. There was like a liquor store, there was a vacuum cleaner repair store, and there was like a shoe repair store, and like all these other repair stores. Where back in my day, people didn't throw out stuff if it broke. You know, they actually took it in to get fixed. People actually got their shoes resold and things like that. And it's just like a different time now. It just makes me giggle. Well, not giggle, kind of like make me sad sometimes. Like when my stove broke a few years ago and somebody came out to give me an estimate for it, it actually cost more to repair it than for me to actually buy a new stove. But she showed me this part. It was basically like a motherboard for the stove. I was like, what? It's just very different today. But there was a time.
It started around 85, somewhere around there. I brought in a CD player, and the guy that did repairs, there was still a store that was doing repairs. He says, and this is what's going to put us out of business. He says, and he opened it up and he says, here's the problem. The laser on the CD was out of whack. And he tried to adjust it a little bit, but he says, I cannot get into these parts anymore. They're all welded together. It's all one. It's a unit. You just get rid of the unit and you put the new unit in. He says it's going to start to be like a throwaway thing. And that's what it's come down to be now. You buy something, if it doesn't work, you just get a different one.
Yeah, especially with CD players and like all of these other devices, you just throw it away and get a new one when it acts up. And Serina, you're very quiet over there.
I know.
No, I don't think I'll be repairing anything either. And I was laughing to myself because I still have Apple Care as well, but it's because I did the iPhone like upgrade program or whatever. So you buy it from Apple for that 2 years and it just includes the Apple Care as part of that payment that you make each year or each month, I guess. But no, I barely trust my husband to repair little things around the house. Like,
my God.
Could you imagine, like, my iPhone's been out of commission for a week because, you know, he's still working on it. You know? Parts everywhere, you know.
On Charles's honey-do list, right? Fixing
exactly. I'll just take it to Apple and have it done in a couple hours. I would much rather do that.
I only have 3 extra parts. It's all done.
There's no speakers anymore.
Yeah, when you would put your furniture together from IKEA or someplace, and there was always something left over, and you're like, well, it's still standing, so I don't know what these other 3 pieces were for.
They always send extra, or worse, we've had some things where they didn't send enough. And Charles has had to go to like Lowe's and just like go find something, you know?
Wow.
Well, talk about something extra. VoiceDream Reader just rolled in on the Mac. I've been beta testing it and now it's official. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not a person to sit in front of my computer and read like that, though. I like the ability to read stuff, you know, typically in bed or away from us sitting. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys feel about VoiceDream Reader on the Mac now?
I would have loved to have had that when I was in college.
Right.
Because when I was in college and I was reading like Daisy books and things like that, I did do it in front of my computer to be able to highlight and take notes and actually, because if I would be reading it like just chilling in bed, I would not pay attention as much, especially a boring textbook or whatever the case may be. So I do see the use for people who are in college or high school and are reading electronic books and need to be able to very easily skip to different parts of the book to find what they need to study.
You bring up a great point, because if you are doing something where it's instructional or you're really learning, then it would be, I guess I'd have to correct what I said there, and I won't do it in editing. I'll do it right now, but I understand that. But typically the books I'm reading are not something I want to sit in front of the computer right now, this time of my life. And Callie, are you a voice dreamer?
I only have VoiceDream scanner and reader on my iPhone. So I don't see myself using it on the Mac, but that could change. I just have to dig into it and see how it works on the Mac. So I'm still up in the air about it, but there is a $5 per month subscription fee. You have to pay for it. So it's not going to be free. It's not like you buy it and you're done.
That's interesting because the others are one-time fees. So I wonder why they changed the model for the Mac. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I came out of the beta and I put it on brand new and I paid the $4.99 subscription, but quickly I just went to double check that I can unsubscribe, which I'll probably do. So I'll do it for the month and see how much I use it. But it did synchronize, and my other books were in there, articles and everything were there. So that's a neat thing that what's on your phone is on your Mac, so I like that part of it.
Well, I think it's different for me because I don't have books on VoiceDream Reader. I'm a person, I can't stand text to speech on reading a book. I want a human's voice reading a book to me. So I can't do it. But I do use the reader. And I think I've said before, like when I scan documents, like my flood insurance policy, my home insurance policy, and other paperwork that I want to keep and save, I'll scan them with VoiceDream Scanner, and then they are saved in Reader, and I can name them and just know what they are. So that's my use case for VoiceDream at this time.
That's a nice bundle for usage. I like that.
Yeah, that's how I bought it. Because like at that time, I think it was a bundle, it was the scanner and the reader as one. It was definitely worth it for me.
So when Elon Musk, as we mentioned in the last episode,
Jeff's best friend,
$44 billion. And then all of a sudden I see this message come from you, Callie, I believe it was, that you can now download all your tweets if you're going to get off of Twitter.
Yeah, if you have something that you want to save, you can go in there and do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave the platform. I just don't know. I'm just not finding Twitter very useful at this time. It has nothing to do with Elon Musk. Trust me. So I just want to put that out there. It's just not anything to do with Elon Musk. But I just found it interesting that you could go on, if you have that great tweet that you're so proud of and you want to keep it for posterity, you can go on there and download all of the tweets that you've done, since you opened your account. There's nothing that I want to keep. There's really nothing that I want to keep. Facebook is a different thing. If I ever close out Facebook, I'd want to keep some things, but not on Twitter.
Yeah, it'll put it in a zip file, and it might take a while, but you'll get it. But it won't make it disappear. Then you got to delete your account. I really don't know where this is going with Elon. I mean, he talks about freedom of speech and everything of that nature, but there's still some regulations that have to be understood by Mr. Elon Musk. I don't know. I like it just getting the marketing out there. That's a tool for me.
When he won't have any official control over the company until about 6 to 9 months from now. The way that it's worked, because I had my husband explain to me, I was like, how was he able to just buy it? And he was telling me like, it's a very intelligent move because the way that the offer that he made it where if they rejected it and then Twitter lost money, that the shareholders could sue the Twitter CEO and stuff. So I don't think we'll see any changes for at least a year because he won't have any control. And then after 9 months, then he gets control, but you can't have immediate changes like from day one, start changing things. So a year from now, we'll see where it's at.
He's taking it private. So there's like no board of directors or anything. He's going to be the person who's going to be making the decision. So I think it will be a different company, but who knows? Only Elon Musk knows what his plans are for this company. And I wish him well. I just wish him well.
Yeah.
I do think it will be for the better. I think you guys said last episode, I hope he cares about accessibility.
I hope so too, but we don't know. Hopefully Twitter A11Y will stick around and continue to make the app better, as they've made giant leaps and improvements over the past few months, and hopefully that will continue. But we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm still paying the subscription for
Twitter
the Blue. Yeah, Twitter Blue. And I'm kind of liking it because I get list, and I started going into the list more and other people's list as well. Because sometimes, oh, wow, they've already put it together and you just kind of, we're talking about musical lists and stuff, but other people have put lists together and you can join that list. So it gives me a chance to just go through how they're curated in other people's mind, how they want, what they listen to, what they do. So it's kind of cool.
But you don't need Twitter Blue for...
Yeah, you don't need Twitter Blue for lists.
Yeah, or communities.
But on your phone to have it right there, it's just a tab at the bottom now instead of going up, it saves me 2 clicks.
Well, no, I have my lists pinned on my phone. They're pinned at the top. I don't have to go into anything. Once I find a list that I want, I can pin it to the top with home. Like I've got home, I've got a VIP, which is my list. And I also have a what's going on list. So I don't have to go anywhere. They're just all there. I didn't need Twitter Blue for that.
I'm on this month experiment right now. I did have one where I posted it and it didn't turn out very well, so I retracted it before it went live.
So it doesn't let you edit, though. Is that my understanding?
No, it doesn't let it. So I'm on a month basis here, so I'm probably going to stop it. But I do enjoy it a little bit, or I want to. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I'm paying for it. I better like this, but I don't know. But there's another thing. I do a lot of beta testing. I just realized I do. On the Mac, the Edge from Microsoft browser, I downloaded it onto my Mac and used it. It works, accessibility-wise.
Really? How well?
Well, I'm testing out some programs, so I have little drills that I have to do, and this is what they want to test. So I go in and do it. It's kind of like using Chrome.
Well, it's built on the same platform, if that makes sense. It's
almost as equal. I'm just putzing with it and everything like that. So far, no problems. I haven't found anything that doesn't. The only thing that I haven't really figured out, like on the Chrome, getting your list or your headings and stuff like that. Some things like that are iffy, but then that could have been what I was doing on a web-based app. So I got to do a little more exploring, but I never even thought about Edge being on the Mac.
Interesting. Is it still in beta, so it's not available for general use at this point?
No, there'll be a link. There's a link in the show notes. You go to Microsoft.com, and then you can go through the list of their products, and it comes to the Edge, and it'll sense that you're using a Mac, so it'll give you that choice, and you download it, and you have to agree and all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. And you have options of how deep you want it to dig in. Do you want to share all your passwords with it? I didn't want to do that right away. I'm just kind of using the skinny of it. So far, no problems.
Well, that's good. It's always good to have options when it comes to browsers, because if one doesn't work for a particular site that you're on, you can always check to see if it works better in the next browser.
Like I'll have to use Chrome for certain things, for like getting transcripts done. The company that I use to do that, it says right away, you best be using Chrome for this site, if you really want to be happy by the time you're done. So for people who are running a Mac and using Safari, you should have by now Chrome, and now the Edge. I heard Firefox is out there, but I have never touched that one yet on the Mac. But I've used Chrome, especially like in YouTube. If you want to go into there and really set up some stuff, it works better. So it's nice that Edge is workable, usable, and accessible on the Mac.
Well, that's good to know. Thanks, Jeff, for informing us.
Friend of mine out in California, Bob, he sent in a message here. He really liked the job you did with the Braillist, Callie.
Hi, Blind Abilities team. This is Bob from Scotts Valley, California. I want you to know how much I appreciate your podcasts. They're always interesting and helpful. Your recent podcast about the Braillist and their method of teaching Braille was excellent. Callie, you did such a great job. You inspired me to sign up for the next class. Anyways, I look forward to your next Tech Abilities podcast. They're always interesting and entertaining. Keep up the good work. I know how much time you all put in to create these great podcasts for us, so thank you all. Appreciate it. Oh, by the way, did you know your podcasts are often featured in the Vista Center for the Blind and Visually Impaired's monthly newsletter out here in California? I just thought you might want to know. Okay, thanks, and look forward to your next podcast.
Thanks so much for your feedback, Bob. We love what we do, and we're glad we can help you out.
Bob, I appreciate the feedback that you've given us, and I hope that you get out of the Braillist course everything that I got out of it, and that you enjoy your journey to becoming Braille literate.
He also turned me on to, he wanted to ask me about recording, and what he wants to record is what kind of microphone he should use for bird calls. They have this big thing where they go on these walks, and it's bird watchers, and they hear birds, and he wants to be able to use this app and a microphone so it'll identify the bird from the sound. And it's called the Merlin Bird ID app. It's really cool because you can put these packets of sounds for your area. I mean, I don't need to know what birds are in Miami because they probably know better than to be up here right now. Or Colorado. So I got a little packet for this upper Midwest area, maybe a little Canada, and I got 300 in there. But I have a clock on the wall that on the hour, the loons will come out, the robin, the chickadees and stuff like that, but at night it doesn't happen. So I took it off the wall and we set it there. Lori and I, we set it there and we hit the button and see if it can, because we want to know what bird that is, that's a cardinal, So it's really kind of interesting, and Yeah, I don't think about it that much, but now that spring has hit, well, at least it hit in Colorado, start hearing the birds again. And I always wonder, I always like to place in my mind what that is, oh, that's a cardinal, or something like that.
I think that is cool.
Yeah.
That's your hobby. I think that is wonderful that you get to identify what bird it is. Because that's one thing I've always wondered, how would a blind person become a bird watcher if that were their thing? But I think that is very cool.
Yeah. Well, Serina, you sent me something that was interesting because I have Comcast, and Comcast and Charter are doing a 50-50. Like if you can't beat them, join up with your next best large giant company and work out a partnership.
In case you needed another streaming app, that's what they're building, is a streaming service. So I don't know what that means with their partnership with Peacock, ironically. I don't know what all that's going to look like. And then HBO and, Discovery and all that, they're completely merged already. So it'll be interesting to see what that super mega app looks like come summertime. Like there's just a lot happening.
Do you think they'll be joined together, Serina, HBO and Discovery? You think they'll become one?
Oh, yeah. They've already said that they're going to that the apps are going to merge.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And Jeff, you were, or was it Serina, you were laughing at me knowing it was $11.06 for my Apple Music. I know exactly down to the penny how much I'm being charged for all of my apps. I can tell you, I'm not one of those people where they don't know how many streaming apps or how many subscriptions they have out there. I know. Okay. So you laugh at me, Jeff, but I know my Apple Care is $14.19. I know HBO Max is $16.64. I know Hulu is $14.39. I know Netflix, which went up, is now $10.72. So I know. I don't understand how people cannot know.
I know none of them.
Really?
No.
Oh my God, I can't. I'm one of those people where I sit down every month and I do a budget. I know what's coming in and I know exactly what is going out. But I've always been like that, even before I lost my vision. I was anal retentive like that.
Okay, if you know all this stuff, why is Schitt's Creek moving from Netflix to Hulu?
You know
and
what?
That's SCHITTS.
Yeah. Well, Netflix is losing a whole lot of stuff besides subscribers. They're losing like a lot of their shows also. And obviously it's not a Netflix original. So it's going back to its owners.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. That stuff comes and goes off of Netflix.
Yeah. And it's like Peacock, like Hulu will eventually lose This Is Us and all the other NBC shows. Those will be moving to Peacock eventually. They're going home. They're going home to NBC.
Have you heard about Netflix trying to get back their passwords? The situation because people share their passwords, like 4 or 5 people are using it and stuff. I remember they limited it to like 3 devices. They tried to narrow it down and stuff, but I wonder how good they're going to do that.
The only thing I heard about Netflix is that they lost 2 million subscribers this last quarter, and they were expected to grow by 2.5 million subscribers. So not only did they not add 2.5 million, they actually lost 2 million, which is extremely significant.
Well, I thought they lost 200,000 this first quarter, but they're projected to lose 2 million in the current quarter. So that will be reported next. That's what I
thought that they had lost 2 million.
Yeah, they already lost 200,000. And they may lose me because I want to check out something on Paramount Plus, but Grace and Frankie is dropping. So I will stick around to watch this final season of Grace and Frankie. And then I think I will turn off Netflix and go to Paramount Plus to check out some things that are over there.
Well, what is it that you want to watch over there? Because they usually give you a week for free anyway.
Well, it's going to take more than a week. I dropped off of season 4 of The Good Fight. I also want to watch Stephen King's The Stand. I also want to watch, there's a movie based upon the making of The Godfather. Well, it's not a movie. I think it's a 10-episode miniseries called The Offer about how The Godfather was made, because I love The Godfather. I love gangster movies. So I want to watch that also. And I want to also check out some of the Star Trek series, Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard. So Paramount has got a lot of things that I want to check out.
Mm-hmm.
That should be pretty good, the Godfather one, because that reminds me of like when Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky and then tried shopping it around and doing everything like that and made the first Rocky movie. I mean, that's what took him from basically nowhere to stardom. And even the Godfather, it was kind of a grassroots type of, you don't see that too much anymore today.
No, you don't, where they work it from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
but The Godfather is one of my favorite. But I didn't see Rocky until Rocky was like 30 years old. I just never watched it because I'm not a boxing fan. And all of my friends says, it's not about boxing. It's more, it's not about boxing. Like, but that's what I always see in all the promos for Rocky. And I finally sat down and watched it. And it is an amazing film. It is very good.
Hey, you know. I like a fish, Cuff and Link.
Yeah, and the end, I didn't know how it ended. I was so surprised how it ended. I'm like, what? So.
Oh yeah, I saw a documentary on him. It was actually a discussion. He was just talking, and he was talking about the movie and stuff. And it was just really cool to really see him. He says he hates writing, but he wrote it. He says every word, everything. it's like a symphony. He says I hate writing, and so it's really cool to see him be realistic about that beginning of his.
I'm really envious of creatives. Those people who can do things like that. I never could. Music, art, writing, never my thing. It was always the more analytical, the numbers. I was always great with math, but put me in English class. I think the best grade I ever got in English was a C because it was just,
And you're high-fiving people like, yes.
Really? Yeah, I gotta say, I moved up from that D and I got myself a C.
Mediocrity right there.
It was just, hey, we had a president who was a C student, so don't knock it. Okay. But it was just never been. And I've always been envious, people who can write a song, like Taylor Swift or, Adele or Bono, or Mariah Carey, who can write music, write lyrics and hear what it sounds like in their head. I just envy that, people who can draw, people who can sing, write. I just think creatives are amazing people.
Adele, I'm like, wow. Wow. Yeah. Even Montana, what's her name?
Miley Cyrus.
Montana.
Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana. Even my kids went through that stage, you know what I mean? Anyways, I always thought, she's washed up or whatever, she should have done this. And then she comes out with these songs and she's really good.
You've apparently not seen her performances.
Not so good?
She's very, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. She is very interesting from what I understand in the manner in which she dresses and dances.
Provocative, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the fan of Halsey. Coming from the fan of Halsey.
I guess, yeah. I'm one to talk about, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But her music matches it.
Yeah, that's true. It's just interesting to see some of these people, and you think you know the person, but you really don't know the person. Taylor Swift. I don't know her, but gosh, she just keeps
Feels like we do, doesn't it?
Yeah, she puts her whole life into song.
Yeah.
Don't piss her off, Jeff.
Really?
She'll be on her next album.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. There's a few songs she's got.
There'll be some F words in it now because she is not afraid to cuss now. These last two albums.
Does she really?
Yeah, these last two albums, Folklore and Evermore, she cusses on them.
Oh my goodness!
It was a big deal.
Taylor.
Yeah, she's grown up.
Wow. Well, she's in her 30s now. When I first heard of her, it was like when Kanye stormed the stage, and that's the first time I ever heard of Taylor Swift was during that moment. And I was like, oh my God, he's doing this to this poor girl. But yeah, she's come out of that shadow.
I've been a fan of her since she was like 15. I remember her very first appearance on TRL.
Oh my God.
I loved TRL, and she was talking about teardrops on her guitar and stuff. That was like her very first album and all that. So I was like, she's definitely changed,
Yeah.
Who's that country singer? She sang that song. His name's in it. When we got Tim McGraw. Yeah.
Tim McGraw, there you go. I was like, it's in my head.
Wait, Tim McGraw is married to Faith Hill. What the heck is she singing?
No.
So the Tim McGraw song is just talking about how it's a country song, and
when we were together and we were listening to Tim McGraw, or something.
Oh,
we got.
Okay.
She has a lot of really cute references all throughout her lyrics.
We got Tim McGraw. It's a great song, and he even sang it with her.
Wow!
But "Teardrops on My Guitar" is a separate song.
Well, I mean, years later, she was doing that song, and he walked out on her, and they sang together.
Oh, that's
don't quote me on that, but I think that's the story.
Wow!
It sounds legit.
Well, can I tell you guys? A couple of weeks ago, exactly 2 weeks ago tonight, I went to the Chris Rock concert, right?
I meant to ask you about that.
Oh my God. Well, I kind of told Jeff this in a message. And I want to get your thoughts on this because there was a Twitter thread out there by someone who I follow, and she had wrote that independence is a myth. It was Haben Gurma. She's pretty well known in the blindness community because I think somebody had asked her,
deafblind,
deafblind, if her goal was to like do the paddle boarding or surfing on her own by herself. And she says, no, because, she needs somebody there with her because she's not going to know where the rock formations are. She doesn't like run head on into a rock or something like that. But I was kind of like sad at the Chris Rock show afterwards because it just made me realize I am not going to be independent anymore in a situation like that. And it really depressed me because there have been times where I've gone to concerts or events by myself because I have great friends, but we don't necessarily our interests don't always intersect, the same way. And there would still be things I would want to do. And I would like just go by myself. It was like no big deal. And now I think that time is done. And it sent me into a really, really deep funk, just realizing that. And I don't know, can any of you guys speak to that? Using my white cane, I don't know if it would be different if I had a service dog, but then I just don't know. I just felt part of my life is over. And it just made me, I was just like, was just very sad about it for a while.
I think it'd be hard in a venue like that. White cane or guide. I mean, probably other people might say something different. They say the white cane's so independent, but in a large venue when there's hundreds of people and you're trying to find your seat, the white cane is not going to help you find your seat. Like no matter how great the directions are, you are not going to independently find your seat. And I totally understand. Like there's things that I'm not a go to a concert alone type person, but my husband certainly doesn't have the same musical taste as me. I can get him to take me to Halsey, but he will never go see Taylor Swift with me.
He won't?
He will never.
Okay.
I actually had Taylor Swift tickets and then it ended up intersecting with when my son was graduating preschool. So we sold them. They weren't the best of tickets, but because it was an arena, but
I totally get
it. Yeah, but it was like section 500 in the arena. Like it was like nosebleed seats for sure. Because she's expensive to see. But the thing that gets me, even when I'm with someone, I'm not sure if you felt this too, Callie, is it can just be very overwhelming noise wise and disorienting in a way. And it causes me some anxiety sometimes when it's just so loud and you're like, what's going on? Like can't really hear, I don't know. It's just not as comfortable.
And concert things, when you start to leave, it's a crowd movement thing. It's a flow. It's a herd of people going to the exit doors. And then when you get out of the venue, it's not always a straight shot sidewalk down and to the right. It's kind of an open area of walking around until you find the zone where you do go down and what street did you come out on this time and everything like that. And then all the street corners, people are just walking. They're not really paying attention to the lights because it's a flow of people. It's
and trying to catch a ride share at an event like that is very overwhelming too.
Yeah. So basically you're telling me I am right. My independence is over as far as doing anything by myself.
I don't know that it's like a sighted, unsighted thing either. Like I've heard people who are sighted, they get overwhelmed in those same types of situations.
Like when I went to training after hours, like after you're done with your day, your 9 to 5 training, if I was going to the restaurant or something like that, 6-7 people would come with me. If I wasn't going, only 2 people would go because I was a high partial. But let me be clear, this is coming from a perspective of someone that's in training, new to blindness, just learning skills. It does improve dramatically once you go through training and gain the skills and start to utilize them into your daily life. For the most optimal goals to set in your life, I would start with training.
Okay.
I mean, there's certain things in life when you start seeing things fall away that you're not able to do. It's a change. It takes a little bit to regroup, but you move forward in other different ways that you probably never would have done if you were sighted totally.
Well,
like you remember numbers. I'm a numbers guy too. And when I was on the Student Life Budget Committee, they came back with some numbers and the numbers changed. I said, wait, does numbers change? I didn't have to read them. I knew the numbers. And here they had bought a new scoreboard with none of the voting. They just did it and they used the money from the Student Life. And I said, no, we're supposed to vote on that. So we changed everything. But it was because of my inability to read print, that I retain a lot more stuff. So I've changed, and I wouldn't say it's always a happy moment. I just like we just put out the Wellness Wednesday, and Robin spoke about regrouping and moving forward again. I really like that. I mean, I've heard it, but the way she put it just made me, she said that probably always be having to pass through these hurdles for the rest of her life.
Yeah. And I understand. I listened to that episode and I thought what she said was good. But I'm also one of those people who believe that, well, this was a gut punch to me. So, and I'm just being really raw and honest here. It was a gut punch to me. Just seeing, what in my life has fallen away from me that is gone forever, basically. And that's just something I had a hard time getting a grip of. Getting a hold of that has changed. Because like both of you guys, you both have sighted people in your lives who you can do things. It's different for me when you're single and just trying to figure out what you can do on your own. Because before I lost my vision, I was very independent. Like I love going to story slams, that we have here in Miami. And during the pandemic, they were shut down because of the pandemic. But now that they're back, I'm just wondering, can I attend again? And I just don't know. And that was something that I really loved doing. My friends didn't like doing it, but they would always placate me on my birthday for the Grand Slam because they're like, okay, it's her birthday. We got to she chooses what, we're going to do. And so that was always my thing. But not being there for the, the slams that lead up to the Grand Slam is something that I will dearly miss.
And that could be something too where, and I just don't have the time for this yet, but expanding that social group to find those groups that do like the same things that you do, like meetups that enjoy going to those types of events and things like that. It could be developing a whole nother circle of friends that I know it doesn't help with the independence piece of it, but it could open that up where you could start going to those venues again and things like that. And I don't know how large the venues are. If you were a regular, if they would start to get to know you and save you a place, the managers there and things like that. I don't know what that looks like for you. I know they're usually in smaller venues, but probably not in Miami.
No, the venue here in Miami is about a 1,200 seat.
So that's pretty big still.
Theater.
Yeah.
It's still, but the good thing about it is it's general seating. So I don't have to look for a seat. I just go in and sit down the first seat that I find.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You'll never forget the gut punch, that feeling. Although you'll begin to be creative, like Serina was saying, right now may not be the time, but you'll develop into something that you'll find someone that does it and you go, yeah, let's give it a shot, because I don't know, there's some things I would do alone, but there's other things that it's silly to try to do alone, especially in a vast thing like a crowd of that immensity. Open concerts, where they just have roped off areas. You get tied up in the ropes. I mean, going to the bank and going to the little things. Come on, that's crazy.
You know what's funny that you mentioned? What? So when I trained with Weston, when we were first learning, they took us to the mall. And there's this area where they had those ropes and they train them more to look up more. But guide dogs just are typically looking at what's at their level, making sure that you're not going to trip over anything. And they will walk because they just don't see it. They will try to go under the rope, because it's just below their, their scope,
Uh-huh.
Airports are the same way. Oh,
yeah.
Are you first class? Oh, no, you go over here. Here? Well, there's little openings all the way. Then it stops and you...
Mm-hmm. And it winds a million times.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Well, I used to be very independent. And I know, Serina, you couldn't see yourself going to a concert. I've been to a couple of concerts by myself because I just couldn't get people to make up their mind about wanting to go or not. And this is, you had to buy your tickets right away. And I'd be okay.
You have to plan in advance.
I'm going, y'all. I'm going.
You've lost your sight 2 years ago, and you're going to mobility training. You're picking up more and more, and you want to expand your wings a little bit as you're going, and you're realizing you're in a good spot because you're busting loose a little bit, you're opening up the possibilities, but you're drawing limits on this and that. But there's going to be a lot of points in between point A and point B that, the thought of that, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for you to grow a little bit and realize what you're capable of, but it's going to take a little time. It just doesn't come at once. You can't get everything back.
Well, Jeff, I'm old, man. I don't have like a lot of time left to like figure this stuff out, man. Come on. I need to like I need to get cracking here pretty quickly.
Right. But don't forget to smell the roses of your accomplishments. There's a lot of things in life that none of us will be able to obtain in the way that we may have literally visualized it back in the day. But there's so much that we can do that we don't even realize or give ourselves, the time to do it. And your time is not running out like that fast, Callie.
Oh God, Jeff, it is. I've got more summers behind me than I have ahead of me. I'm even like at that age where when I think about getting a dog, I'm like at this point, will the dog outlive me? Because I'm just like thinking about that now, because I have like that major milestone birthday coming up here. And I'll say I'm going to be 60 this year. I don't have any shame, in it, but it's a realization.
Callie, you act like you're about to be 80. Oh my goodness. Stop it.
No, but there are like 60 summers that are behind me,
No, the dog will not outlive you.
The dog probably will.
Someone told me once that there's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
what does that mean?
It means like don't plant a tree tomorrow and expect to swing in it. It's going to take 20 years for a tree to be bold and, put the swing on and rake up after it to be that picture perfect tree. Mm-hmm. So don't expect you're planting the seeds for things, but everything has to grow. You have to develop it. How far do you walk? You're taking your phone with you. You're doing everything right. You're taking mass transit or you're taking transport. You're doing a lot more things right now than a lot of people who have lost their eyesight in 2 years.
Especially 2 years post vision loss. But
you guys are making 2 years is a long time, guys. I'm sorry. That is a long time.
No, I think that there's a lot of people, especially when they lose it in the manner like so suddenly, that first year is literally spent in Depressionville, where they're struggling and their family, like you must have had a lot of good people surrounding you to connect you with resources, or you were very resourceful. Because a lot of people, like I see posts in the groups all the time where they're like, I don't know how to help my individual. Can they just use their phone with Siri? Can they do this and do that? And they're not.
And 6 years later, it's the same thing.
Here's the thing, Callie. Like I know we were like saying all these like positive things. Take the time to grieve that. Like your feelings are totally normal. And I don't want you to feel like we're like, oh, just move on, get over it. Like whatever. No, like go through that grieving process. It's totally normal. Like it's not abnormal that you're grieving the loss of your independence. I still Jeff and I probably still, I don't want to speak for you, Jeff, but like just today, I had a moment where I was like, God, I wish I could see, because it's just little things like it'd be really nice to stop running into that door frame. Or it'd be really nice because since Charles got home late, like Trey and I walked over to his school and I have my cane, and parents are really nice. Like they tend to not get in the way. Kids are just oblivious. So sometimes they get in the way.
Kids are kids. Yeah.
But I've gotten more anxious in crowded areas, that especially where there's a lot of people. And it was just like, this would be so much easier if I could see, like, you're going to have those thoughts and you're going to have those, like that moment of grief. And it's about like, how long do you stay in that grief? If it's something that 6 months from now, you feel like you're still at that same stage, then maybe that's something to reevaluate and seek some help with. Or if it's like every once in a while I go back to this, and that's completely normal. Like it's okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
Go through the same thing. A friend of mine just passed away last week, and we had a celebration of life, and we went there, and a lot of people that I haven't seen since high school, and some others I've seen off and on throughout the reunions and everything like that, but it was them. I was expecting to see this group of people and a couple new ones and fresh ones, and it was just interesting and stuff, but I was confident enough now to be in a crowded area like that and moving around from table to table. I just had to remind him, even though I had my cane in my hand, I had to remind him, I'm visually impaired. What's your name again? Oh, Mike B. Then it was all on, but they come up talking to like, I recognize them and I don't recognize them. I don't remember that voice, you're 40 some years older,
That still happens with my own coworkers that have known me for 11 years.
Yeah.
So,
really?
My mom still will send, which I don't get on her now because the image recognition is decent, but she'll still send me pictures of stuff sometimes. And then she'll be like, I'm sorry, I forgot you can't see it. Because she's like, but it's from love. She's like, I just don't think of you as blind. Like you've accomplished so much. And she doesn't mean it as like inspiration porn or anything like that. It's just not the first thing that she thinks of when she thinks of me, you know?
Family's probably the hardest ones to train
Yeah.
because they've known you.
Because they see how independent you are when you're in your own environment and things too.
Well, in my house, I'm very independent,
Exactly.
you know, and I know my way around the Miami Lighthouse, you know, because they teach you the routes there. But outside of those two places, I am just a fish out of water. And that is the thing that really bothers me most. It's just not being able to do those things. And I know there's no point in crying over spilled milk because what has happened, and I can't really do anything about it. But
you're allowed to grieve it. Like that crying over spilled milk thing has slightly annoyed me because you're still sad that you spilled your milk. Like it's okay to have those feelings, you know? And I'm not sure if you ever watched Everybody Hates Chris, but like the dad was always like, that's 59 cents worth of milk, you know? I mean, it's still something. And what if the glass broke? You know, it's still something to have some feelings over. It's just how long do you let those feelings remain prominent, you know?
Yeah.
Or that little twisty for the bread.
I lose those all the time.
Oh.
I started to put now they don't do twist ties. They do the little flat, what is it even
that
called?
little tab thing where.
Yes, I hate those tab things. I'd rather have a
like
twist
those.
tie.
Yeah.
And my son has trouble. He can get it off, but he can't get it back on when he's making his own sandwiches. So.
Oh my God. Oh, I need to go off script here a little bit, guys, to tell you something that happened with DoorDash. Do any of you guys ever use DoorDash?
Their app is pissing me off. I tried to use it last week and it's very tricky. Yes.
Well, it was great. I used it Tuesday when I got home from the Miami Lighthouse because I just wasn't in the mood to cook. And This Is Us was going to be coming on that night. And I just didn't want to be bothered with it. So I ordered from DoorDash. And I ordered from the Cheesecake Factory. And I only do that once a month because it's super expensive for one person.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
delivery fees get to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the delivery guy was so nice. He was in contact with me all along because he arrived at the Cheesecake Factory. It was not ready. And so he says, I'm waiting here for it, just so you know, and blah, blah, blah. He just kept me posted every step of the way. He was so kind. And when he got here, he handed me my food. He says, I'm sorry, but, they were behind with your order. I'm like, it was no problem. So when I placed the order, I input the tip already.
I wish that they let you tip after.
But I wanted to go in and give him a couple of bucks more because he was just very conscientious and everything. I just really wanted to reward this gentleman. And there's nowhere in the app where you can adjust your tip.
It's so frustrating.
So I had to call.
Uber does a good job at that.
Yeah, Uber is great with that. So I had to call customers. So I had to press the help button and I got a bot first and it tells you to input your question. And I did. And it says, oh, okay, you need to speak with a person. So let me hook you up with a real person. So they got me with a real person. And the only way I could change the tip, the representative from DoorDash had to go in and redo my order. So instead of
that's so weird.
Instead of $58.03, it went to $60.53. But here's the caveat. It was a new charge in addition to the $58.03. There was an additional charge of $60.53.
Goodness gracious.
After he did this, he told me, oh, and by the way, you're going to see 2 charges on your debit card until one falls away. He says the other one will fall away in 5 to 7 business days. And just keep in mind, this is a debit card, which sometimes at the end of the month, my debit card, I will let go down to $5, because it's the end of the month and I know what's coming in, when my next payment is coming in. And I'm like, dude.
DoorDash is so frustrating.
And so it's still there, $58, the $60.53.
They'll take your money immediately, but they won't give it back.
Yeah, but they won't give it back automatically. And
Home Depot is famous for that too. They give you credit back. Yeah, they said, okay, we'll put this back on your card. It might be 3-4 days.
wow.
You know what I discovered just this week, and your DoorDash story just reminded me of it, is I'm going to take a Lyft somewhere tomorrow, which I haven't had to be in a Lyft in 2.5 years. So I'm kind of nervous because I'm going somewhere that I'm not as familiar with. But I'm taking a Lyft tomorrow. And when I went in my app to make sure my payment and stuff's still linked and all that because it's been so long. And they had Lyft Pink, which is $10 a month, but you get discounts, you get priority pickup, and you get free, Dash Pass is, but it's the free Grubhub Pass. Mm-hmm. Right now, you get 30 days for free. So I was like, sweet, because I have a few Lyft things I'm going to have to do in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'll just try it out for a month and see what happens. But I think I'm going to look into the Grubhub thing because we pay $9.99 right now for the Dash Pass. So if I can get this Lyft Pink plus the same benefits, but through Grubhub, it's like a no-brainer because like it took 10% off my ride automatically with this thing. And then I guess you get premium upgrades, like I guess they'll send a nicer car and priority pickup, that sort of thing for free. There's other benefits too, like stuff that a blind person wouldn't use, like the bike thing and the scooters things where you can use those for free or whatever. But I just thought I'd mention that if you do use the Dash Pass and you use Lyft a lot, that it's kind of like getting the Gruber Pass Grubhub thing for free. So I'm going to see what if the because I know the Grubhub app was a lot easier to use than the Dash Pass app. DoorDash, goodness gracious.
Where you are with your blindness and stuff, 2 years into it like this, Callie, 2, 3, 4 years ago, we didn't have the confidence in the Grubhubs or the food deliveries or the Ubers or the Lyfts that we have today. Mm-hmm. It took a while. I mean, they were there. It's like, who needs that, or who needs delivery of groceries? We were like, I was hesitant to use that stuff. But when the pandemic hit, now it's a convenience. It's efficiency. It's you place your order, boom, it's sitting on the steps. Mm-hmm. 5-10 years ago, you'd be finding a cab with the old school cabs type of stuff, getting change for a $5 from them because it's just short distance.
Hoping that they're not telling you the price is different than it is.
Yeah, that's true. And then going into a store and trying to learn your grocery store and then get a shopper and stuff. I mean, wow. That's what we used to teach 10, 15 years ago. We used to teach people to go get a shopper, hold a cart behind you. I mean, in the name of independence, these are great skills to have. Don't get me wrong. It's such a different world today. I feel like I'm an old person talking about when we were kids.
Back in my day.
Well, everybody knows what it's like to have groceries delivered now. We dreamed about that back in the day.
And we were made fun of. Like, I remember when those services first came out and people were like, well, these aren't going to last. Nobody, like, really? You can't even go to the grocery store? And I remember just being, because we didn't even have quality shoppers sometimes back then. And it's like, I hope that this still survives because this is a difference.
You were using the pickup.
Well, Charles will still do the pickup sometimes, but right now with him kind of working out of town, we're doing shipped a whole lot. We'll add the stuff to we actually do it through the Target app, which then the delivery is still free. And then I haven't had any issues with it at all.
Well, that seems like a great spot to jump off here before we have issues with the time. Serina, you mentioned the Shipt app and the Target app. Combine them together. Yeah, great thing. I think we'll talk about that on the next episode of Tech Abilities. And to you, your family, your friends, from all of us here at Tech Abilities, stay well, stay informed, and stay strong. Thanks for listening. And until next time, bye-bye.
And then cue our funky music, right?
And for more podcasts with the blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities, and give us a call at 612-367-6093. Leave us a message and let us know if we can put your voice on the next podcast. Drop us an email at info@blindabilities.com and download the free Blind Abilities app from the App Store and Google Play Store. That's 2 words, Blind Abilities. And from all of us here at Blind Abilities, through these challenging times, to you, your family, and friends, stay well, stay informed, and stay strong. I want to thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye-bye.